John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Sports and Picks Show. We are going to be talking all sorts of stuff. We got national championship coming up for college football. We have a lot of playoff games to talk about. We're sort of transitioning into, obviously, there's less games for us to pick, so we're going to be discussing a few more topics. We're going to be sort of going around the horn, taking our time on, some of these playoff games. We're going to be having some reactions from the previous round of football games for this first hour, talking about some coaching hires. Pat's hired Vrabel, obviously. The Cowboys are doing the stupidest thing possible in their coaching search, as usual. So quite a bit to talk about, quite a bit to discuss. We are going to be giving out some picks. We're going to be leading off with giving out some picks for the college football championship game, Notre Dame and Ohio State. But this is for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER if you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. Call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, call 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire. 888-789-7777 or go to ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or go to opgr.org if you're in Oregon. I am joined by Jack Fredericks, the workhorse of GodzillaWins.com, our brick and mortar site with all of our articles, John Fredericks, the father of the network, and Mitch Rogers, contributor extraordinaire and regular on the show now. I mean, you're basically just like the second host.
I like it.
And I think we'll be joined by Peter Kriebel later because he can't stay away to talk some Ravens. So I think he will be joining us at some point, maybe in the next hour. All right. Like to remind everyone that Godzilla Wins is brought to you by Native Path Collagen. Big believers in collagen in this family, in this company, everywhere. And CEO of the company uses it. John uses it. Jack uses it. Mitch uses it. I use it. Glowing skin, great for your hair, great for your nails, great for your skin, great for joint health. It's good for everything. As you get a little bit older, your body stops producing the amount of collagen it needs, and you need a little boost. So you mix a little collagen into your coffee, into your water, into your protein shake, however you want to get it. Throw some collagen in there and notice your body changing and feeling a little bit better. You can get started on your collagen journey if you go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. GetNativePath.com/Godzilla. You can get started on your collagen journey for as low as $21 a month. That's up to 45% off. So just go to GetNativePath.com/Godzilla. All right. We're just not even gonna. We're just gonna get right into it. Notre Dame, Ohio State. The college football season is finally ending. It has been a long, long road, and we're finally here on Monday. John might be a little distracted. I'm not really sure if he's going to be watching much of the game on Monday. He's got some other stuff to be watching, I'm sure. But all the rest of us will probably be watching the college football playoff. Ohio State is a 8.5-point favorite, I think, at this exact moment. Notre Dame not getting a ton of love from the betting public. It's kind of hovered anywhere between 8 and 9 for most of the week. I guess what are our initial sort of picks? I mean, Notre Dame has underwhelmed, and Ohio State has looked incredible. So does Ohio State just roll one more time?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
How do you bet against, I don't care if it's 10, 12, 13. How do you bet against this team? I don't know why you would put money down against this team. They're hitting on every cylinders. Their speed is incredible. That wide receiver is open almost every time they go downfield. They're bigger, they're stronger up front on both sides of the ball. They've got the Michigan monkey off their back because it doesn't matter now. They're about to win the national champions, so that whole debacle's behind them, and they're getting better every week. Whatever's going on with this team, they're getting better. Notre Dame is surviving, which has been good, and you got the whole Catholic Church thing going on. So my wife and the CEO of the company says you don't go against the Pope. You know, just bad karma. So whatever. So I get that. But if you just look at these two teams even up, there's just no way you can see Notre Dame winning this game. They're bigger, stronger, faster, better, and getting better every week.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably true. I mean, I keep looking at it and I keep thinking like, okay, so Ohio State gets, Indiana down early, they get Oregon down early, they get Texas down early, and then those teams sort of have to turn to passing. And, there are some good quarterbacks, I mean, like all those quarterbacks, Rourke for Indiana, Quinn Ewers for Texas, Oregon's quarterback, they were all great, had great seasons. And then when they really had to press against Ohio State, they looked horrible. And I'm just not sure that Notre Dame has that type of capability to try and play catch up in this game. Like the only way that they can win is if it just gets so ugly early. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the only way to win is if Riley Leonard has some kind of insane, amazing, historic performance. And I just don't think he can do that again against Ohio State. I think he's their only real X factor on offense that can shake it up. But not that it's a gimmick, but his running style is going to be just absorbed by Ohio State's defense. I think that's their only shot, and I don't think they have a shot with Riley Leonard. So I'm agreeing. I don't see much of a chance for Notre Dame winning the game, and covering the spread is going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, like Riley Leonard has his best game of like basically the playoff against Penn State, and he throws for a whopping 223 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, and that's like his best game passing. And I just don't. Yeah, I mean, how does that beat Ohio State, Jack?
Well, I mean, the spread is 8.5. So I mean, I know it's college football, and I know that these games can get out of hand, but I do think that Notre Dame has shown, at least in this college football playoff, a little bit of tenacity that maybe they should have been showing all season. I didn't watch a ton of Notre Dame games. They certainly didn't show it during Northern Illinois, but that was, in September. And they have shown an ability to really, I think, rise above the level of talent on the team and play some pretty competitive football. And I think that the reason for that, the biggest contributing factor, is Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
And if I'm just looking from a coaching standpoint, just take the intangibles, which of these coaches do I feel comfortable saying is going to get his team ready to perform in this spotlight, in this moment? Which coach is going to get his team to overperform? Which coach is going to make the right decisions? Which coach has his team believing in the message? I think that that's Marcus Freeman. I don't think that that's Ryan Day at all, actually. I think Ohio State's recipe for success is going to be in this NIL market is going to be buying up as many players as possible and putting together a very expensive roster and seeing if that can deliver a bunch of national championships. Maybe it can. Maybe they win this game by 20 points. But the way I kind of see it is I trust Marcus Freeman a lot more than I trust Ryan Day in the biggest game of the year, just because of the ways in which he carries himself and he can kind of get his players to overperform and be prepared mentally. So I'm not that I don't know. It's hard to say that I want to take the 8.5 because it's such a big, it just feels like such a big talent gap between Ohio State and Notre Dame. And you think, okay, well, Notre Dame has kind of walked through the playoffs and they haven't really beaten anybody. And Ohio State beat the bag out of Oregon, or the breaks off Oregon, and they also beat Texas, who we liked, and everything else. And so
they destroyed Tennessee.
Yeah, they destroyed Tennessee. And Notre Dame, they beat Indiana by 10, and then they got to play a hobbled Georgia. And the Penn State game was great, but they could have lost that game. So if you're just kind of doing observationally looking, you think, okay, Ohio State's going to win this game by a million. But I don't know. I have a hard time trusting Ryan Day. And I think that that's warranted. He beats everybody not named Michigan. So I probably should just say, hey, he's going to beat Notre Dame too. But this is a huge moment for both of these programs. And I just kind of think Marcus Freeman has a little bit more of that Sean McVay X factor that gets his team to overperform in these big moments. And I kind of think it's going to be close. It's just my gut feeling. So I kind of like the 8.5. I just think it's going to be a weird, sloppy game. Like maybe Riley Leonard has to play way above his usual performance or potential for this to stay close. But I kind of think this is going to be like a lot of turnovers, just kind of an ugly game. And I think Notre Dame can hang.
I definitely understand this argument of like Marcus Freeman being like the sort of coach of destiny, right? And having Notre Dame feeling like their team of destiny. I've been thinking a lot about that sort of narrative that we get, when we get to the playoffs. So we always sort of have these teams you're like, team of destiny or whatever. And we'll talk about NFL teams when we get there, teams that just feel like they're just like way overperforming because they're just like irrationally confident in their team and their abilities and sort of willing to overlook a lot of the flaws that their teams have because they're just so bought into being able to win. Like the Lions come to mind as a team that's just like irrationally like confident at this point in the season. Like they're so injured, but they just are like finding a way to win, and they just think they can beat anybody, even though they're playing with basically no defensive starters that they had at the beginning of the season, right? Washington feels that way, even though they're a deeply flawed team, they just feel like they can beat everybody. And Notre Dame certainly has that feel as well to me, in a way that I do find sort of compelling.
And I like where this, and I think they're getting this total right too, because no matter what, Notre Dame, even if they're not being successful, are going to still try to run the ball to shorten the game. There's no question. And Ohio State is absolutely going to try to establish their run game. So that's a good total. At first I thought it'd be a typical 50 and a half total. I'm going to go the under, easy play. And then you see 45. Vegas is smarter than Mitch. And so I don't know where I want to go. So I think the under is still the play.
I still think the under is the play. Yeah.
I think they're begging for it.
I've got a couple props and stuff that I kind of want to play in this game. And the first is I want to play the first half under. I've been playing a lot of these unders in these playoff games, and they have been falling apart in the second half. So I would imagine the first half under is 22.5 if the spread is 45 or something around there. I'm kind of comfortable taking that. Maybe both, like Mitch says, both these teams establish the run early. They kind of get off to a slow start, but I think they may pick up in the second half like we saw with Penn State and Ohio State. I also really like two kind of props. One is a receiver prop, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. His over-under for receptions is set at 4.5. Notre Dame plays a lot of man-to-man defense, so I think that he's a pretty reliable target for Ohio State, and I think with that man-to-man, he'll probably get 5 receptions. And then my other one is Jeremiah Love. First quarter rushing yards is 8.5. That's the running back for Notre Dame. So if you think they're going to establish the run, Jeremiah Love has to have more than 8.5 yards in the first quarter So I kind of like that prop as well. But that's kind of where I'm thinking. I'm probably going to play a lot of first half sort of props and totals, and then if I have no more money left, I'll stop. But if not, maybe I'll do some stuff for the second half as well.
Yeah, let's just go around then and just talk like everybody's kind of best bet as we kind of wrap this segment up. John, what's your best bet for the national title game?
Listen, I don't bet over and under on football. I only bet that on hockey, and I've not done very well in the past week. Those that are following me, so my hockey I got on fire and I cooled off a little bit. So today is going to be the turnaround. I need to win another 10 straight like I did earlier in the season. But I'm not going to overthink this. And I don't bet totals on football, so I really have no interest in that. I don't bet props. I don't do that. But I am going to bet Ohio State, and I'm going to lay the 8.5 because somebody's got to show me that they can beat this team or that he can hang with them. I mean, I every time I look at the 8.5 with Notre Dame, I go back to the Oregon game. Oregon's a very good football team. I mean, they played in their conference, and they just got blown out. I mean, this thing was over in the first quarter. So, and they did the same thing to Texas. Texas was never in that. Texas was never in that game. So it's just hard for me. And I get the Notre Dame. I get the pizzazz. I get the, look, I'm Catholic. I get it. Mom says I'm going to, I'm going to have to spend another 2 years in purgatory if I bet Ohio State, whatever.
2 years is nothing when you're staring eternity in the face, man.
Purgatory's got to be fun.
I figured 2 years. I mean, I got such a long list. St. Peter's they're going to have a computer printout on me that goes down to the earth by the time they get through that. So, but
purgatory's never been in
2 years is like handing somebody a life sentence in jail, like an extra couple of years for fighting.
Yeah, I think adding an extra 2 years for you will be just fine. By that time, you'll be pretty comfortable.
I mean, 2 years, right?
It's a worthy trade-off. I mean, would you rather have $500 or 2 years extra years in purgatory?
2 years in purgatory, especially if I get an MLB app there and see the CBS play, I'm like good to go. But I'm going to spend time there.
I mean, they'd have the Fire Stick down there, right?
Oh, I'm speaking of Fire Stick. Great segue. Mitch, you're now better than Nate in segue. That's a great segue.
I'm going to start scooting across the room.
Nate's the segue king. He's developed the segue art. That's great. Fire Stick. So a couple weeks from now, sometime in mid-February, we're going to be, Godzilla Wins right here is going to be on Smart TV. If you have a Smart TV, you're going to be able to click us right on your screen. All you're going to have to do is go to Roku, Apple TV, or Fire Stick, any of those on your Smart TV. You just put in Godzilla Wins. You put it in at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and it's going to roll. Not only that, it's going to replay several times. But Godzilla Wins is going to be live on national TV. You guys are going to be international stars just coming up. So I know Jay Delsing, I talked to him about it. He thinks his whole career is going to just explode after he's on TV. It's going to be so much fun. So that's Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV about 3 weeks. You're going to be able to see Godzilla Wins on Smart TV. So thank you for the segue.
So my Roku Fire Stick right now, when I turn it on, it has just Dawson's Creek running every single time. So if I can switch that to Godzilla Wins, and every time I come on and get rid of Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek.
Give us your pick for the game, Mitch.
You know what? I'm not doing that under. I just thought about that while y'all were speaking. I'm with John here. Don't overthink it. Ohio State's the better team here. And even though that spread looks like a lot on paper, it's really not. You can see it being a 3-point game. Even if it's close, Notre Dame has the best game of their lives and then a touchdown to make it 10. So I'm going to go with Ohio State minus 9.5.
Yeah, I kind of like Ohio State too. And then maybe a little sprinkle on the under, but I think Ohio State's probably the right side at this particular juncture. All right. Let's talk a little college, or not college. We're moving to the NFL. That was our college segment. 10 minutes and we're out the door. Now we're talking NFL. We're just going to kind of be discussing some coaching hires. I guess we'll start. I mean, I'm not going to start with the Cowboys because it's only going to make me upset early in the show. So we'll wait a second. We'll start with the Patriots hiring everybody's favorite head coach, retread. Mike Vrabel.
You were in a catch-22 there. You either had to go Dallas or Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. So Mike Vrabel is the new head coach of the Patriots. We know what that entails. Obviously, he played in New England. That's sort of a big thing. I mean, what is this a good hire?
No, it's a horrible hire. Because here's the deal, okay? This Patriots team is in a super rebuild. When has Vrabel ever shown you he could rebuild? He came in with a team that had made the playoffs the prior season and beat Kansas City on the road. That was the team that he came in to coach. They had Derrick Henry. At the time, they had Mariota that we still thought Titans, shirt obviously, thought was, going to be our quarterback for some time with his magic there. And so he came in, he didn't have to rebuild this team. He inherited really good young players. And that's the team that he had that he did very well with. When things went south, he lost games like they were going out of style. The reason he got fired is he ended 2 seasons ago by losing the final 7 games of the season in order to get knocked out of the playoffs on a fumble, right? Then the season after that, he wins 6 games. So that's a disaster. So, he lost 18 out of the last 24 games. So it's like being from Missouri. Show me. You're going to have to show me that he can rebuild this team. I think if you're the Patriots, it's a great hire because he's going to bring excitement. He played there.
You just said it was a bad hire.
Well, if it's a bad hire. I'm not a Patriots fan, but sometimes you've got to make moves.
So if you're a fan, then you're just all in no matter what.
You got to get your fan base fired up. So I get the move, but court's out to me if this guy can win games and try to rebuild the team because he's not done that.
This is a quarterback league.
The final thing I'm going to say is why I would never hire the guy and why Adams fired him. Okay. They lost Green. AJ Green goes to Philadelphia. Whatever. It's a total debacle.
Oh my God.
Really started destroying the team. Okay. But here's the thing. When they went to Philadelphia that season, okay, they were too lazy to change the offensive playbook of which AJ had and told the defense. And AJ said on a podcast, I got scared for Tannehill because I gave them the play. They never changed the plays. The guy was going to get killed. He's my friend. How do you coach an NFL team, go to a team where you had your star player on and not change the offensive playbook and put your quarterback in physical harm? And AJ Brown said that. Just on that, no interest.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to New England. I mean, he is like the equivalent of Dan Campbell to me. He's coming in for
he brings stability, right?
Culture changing. And guess what? His problem in Tennessee was Ryan Tannehill. He has Drake May to rebuild around. He has quarterback talent. He has a way to instill the culture that they tried to get away from for a couple of years for some reason, the Belichick era. Well, now you bring the Belichick era back. And then Vrabel puts up every pass he had was a touchdown reception. He's going to change the culture there. He has a quarterback. He is a really good coach. I mean, I know his tenure at the end at Tennessee didn't go well, but he turned that franchise from nothing into AFC Championship. So I think he's a good coach, and he's at home, and he's going to instill that culture that won 7 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls. So I think it's a great hire by them, and probably a year too late. They should have done it last year.
I mean, I guess there's like a real argument to be made too, whether or not like Vrabel overachieved with Tannehill's talent and like he got the most out of Tannehill, and that's why they were able to be successful for a few seasons, or if like he never really was able to develop Tannehill, and that's why they never really could get over the hump. And I'm not sure like what the clear answer is because Tannehill like had talent, but I don't know like if you bring in Vrabel, right? Like Drake May is your quarterback. You're one of the rare teams that's picking towards the top of the draft that has like a quarterback that they feel confident about, and then you hire a defensive coach who's never really shown an ability to really get like a ton out of an offense. It's not just like hand Derrick Henry the ball 30 times a game and hope for the best. Like, I don't know if that's the rebuild model that I'd be wanting to follow.
Do you bring Josh in at offensive coordinator? Are you bringing back the whole band?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Then
no.
I bet you he does. McDaniels is
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's a great
Efficient.
offensive coordinator, but I don't know if he wants to be an offensive coordinator for the Patriots for, Bill Belichick
700
light.
time.
I'm like my thing is, which Vrabel are you getting?
Right.
Are you getting the Vrabel from like 2019, 2020 or whatever, when it looked like maybe it's not like he needed to develop Tannehill. Tannehill was already a quarterback in the league. He sucked.
Right.
And so they had a quarterback who sucked, and they tried to get as much as they could out of him, knowing full well that he's not very good. And so they, relied on an incredible run game and a great defense at that time to really surprise some people in the playoffs and get to the AFC Championship and be basically 2 quarters away from the Super Bowl. Because if you remember that championship game, Titans dominated the first half, and then they kind of fell apart. This was like post-COVID. I can't remember when, or pre-COVID. This was a while ago. But then there's also the Mike Vrabel of like last year or whatever. That was where they were like the most highly penalized team in the league. They were the worst team with like punt returns. They kept fumbling punt returns. They couldn't win a road game in like 2 years. But even with all those struggles, which to me feel those are coaching. Like if you're the worst penalized team in the league, then like that's a coaching thing. If you can't figure out how to like receive a punt, that's a coaching thing. That's not a personnel problem. At the same time, though, like this happens. Like teams start, a team can suck. A team can really suck for like a season and then not suck so bad with the same coach the next season. I'm not sure the Titans should have fired Vrabel. I don't think that move made a lot of sense. They're in a rebuild as well. I think this is probably a pretty good hire for the Patriots because you probably are going to get the Vrabel of old and not the Vrabel of new. And if things go south, then this is the other thing with the Patriots, right? Like if things go south, who cares? Like you already suck. You've sucked for a couple years. So you take your shot on what is considered, the best coach out on the market. And you see where that lands you. I'd be a little worried. Like Aaron Glenn, it came out, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, it came out he declined to interview with the Patriots. Like maybe and I don't know, apparently maybe they got in contact with him really late and were being really lazy about the Rooney Rule, which would not surprise me with Robert Kraft at all. But you have to wonder around the league if there are other coaches that are like, I don't want this job. And, Vrabel was just kind of like, well, I want it. I want to be in New England.
Or he already had the job and nobody wanted to just run through the motions,
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
hey, I just got a comment, Jack. That was really good analysis. Really good.
Wow, thanks.
And that's worth considering too, as we sort of like open this up and talk about some other coaching stuff. It's like there are real ownership issues that prevent guys from wanting to go coach at these teams. Like,
well, why would you want to why would you want to work for Kraft, Nate? I mean, the guy's had all these Super Bowl teams. He pays his guys well. He doesn't really meddle. I mean, why would you not want to work for Kraft?
I mean, he seems a lot more meddlesome in the post-Belichick era. I mean, the Mayo hire was basically his idea. Nobody really thought it was going to work. It didn't work. It seems like he's getting more meddlesome. I mean, but it's not just the Patriots, though. I mean, why would you want to work for Jerry Jones in Dallas? Why would you want to work for Woody Johnson in New York? Why would you want to work for Mark Davis in Las Vegas? Like all of those owners, like those are the 4 sort of premier head coaching jobs, as near as I can tell, that have vacancies.
Right.
Well, with the Patriots, you have
problems with all of those owners.
The Patriots, you have a franchise. You have a franchise quarterback and $130 million in cap space, and so and if you have an owner that you've been a player for that says, "Hey, I'm going to get out of your way. Let's do this. Let's make the next new dynasty. We have a chance right here. We have Brady ready right now."
Yeah,
in their opinion.
But Gerard Mayo has been on that staff since 2019,
right?
And Kraft canned him after 1 year. I mean, that would be if I was a coach, that'd be my concern. Is
so you're
Mayo
loyal
gets
to the guy up until this,
Yeah, like
he rewarded him. Jack's right. He rewarded his defensive coordinator that's been with the organization, like you said, for a 5-year period. He rewarded him with an opportunity to coach his team, and he didn't have the personnel, and he fires a guy. I mean, I thought the Patriots had a decent competitive season. I mean, they were in some games. I think the Titans beat him, and that went down to the final play of the game or something. So I remember looking at the lines. They covered a couple times. I mean, Yeah, there were a few times where it was embarrassing. They got blown out, but it's, they didn't have the personnel. So, but look, they got to make their decision. We got to make our decision. Jerry Jones had to make his decision. But I kind of agree with Jack here. I don't think that Mayo got a fair shake in this deal.
No, I don't think so either.
Not.
I think if I was
that's sort of the thing, right? It's like you're like, oh, he gave him this great opportunity, by elevating him to head coach, and it's like, did he?
Yeah.
After one season, then you fire him, and then like, what's he supposed to do now?
And what was the plan? To always scapegoat him, like to always hire him for a season and say, "Oh, we tried it. Now let's go get Vrabel." Like I don't remember the time period. Maybe they announced the hiring of Mayo before the Titans announced the the firing of Vrabel. But
it was after. It was after Amy fired him. And
okay. I don't want to go through the history. I don't want to go through the history.
Well, you just asked the question. I answered it.
Well, but I don't want to go. I don't want to hear Amy Adams Strunk like her name like anymore on the show. I get so tired of hearing like doing the oral history of the Titans.
Nate's the host.
Nate doesn't want to hear it either.
No,
Nate's the host.
No.
You want to take the host shot over? Go ahead. Then you can tell me.
No, I
don't, take my orders from Nate.
Do you think Amy's looking at Deion Sanders at all? Do you think
Okay.
I hope
all right.
so.
So let's get to that now because that's a real thing that I want to talk about. Because the Cowboys upset me all the time. I don't want to be a fan and I don't want to hurt like this, but I can't help it. And I do, and it upsets me. They have been in talks. I'm reading like the latest thing. This article was published 2 days ago in Bleacher Report. It's kind of a compilation of some NFL insiders from other places. Latest news on Deion Sanders from NFL insider Ed Werder. Quote, Deion would almost certainly accept the job if Jerry Jones offered it. People around Deion Sanders are encouraging him to pursue it. Jerry Jones is also, quote, apparently enamored with the idea.
Oh, man, yeah.
This is just horrific.
No, man, it's the best.
Like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing?
It's Jerry's world,
Why can't
baby.
we just hire a normal coach?
Hey, America's team. You get Deion Sanders, you have all the ratings. I mean, you got everything that you want, except for winning. You have everything that you want, except for having a team that can compete. But they have everything else. This is going to be great.
What's wrong with Deion? I mean, like, if let's just take his coaching career, like, longitudinally, I guess. A lot of success at Jackson State, right? A lot of success at Jackson State. Pretty good recruiter. Certainly knows how to pay guys, right? Could be useful in the NFL. Knows how to talk to players in a way that I think is more NFL than college. Has one awful year at Colorado. And then, he won like 8 games this year. I mean, it's not like he's, Oregon, Dan Lanning or something. But I don't know. I mean, he won 8 games. Like, we always knew he was going to get an NFL job at some point. So I just kind of feel like we're at the point where I don't hate this. I don't know why you hate this so much. Like, he's had some success.
If it was like a lower profile.
Peter Kriebel to the show as well. Peter,
just wants to troll me today.
Heated argument at any time you feel like you would like to. We're talking about Deion Sanders potentially being the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And
why wouldn't you hire? Look, I'm with Jack 100%. The guy's got a great coaching record. He knows how to talk to men. He's an inspiration. He'll bring fans. Look, my dream as a Titans fan, I want Deion as my coach. I want his son as my quarterback. I want a clean house in there. Give the guy a 5-year contract and see what the hell he can do. I tell you what, I would fly to that opening game. I'd actually go there, right, to see this awful team play if I had Deion Sanders. I don't know why you wouldn't hire him.
No. I mean, so first of all, the thing about Deion Sanders is that he succeeds in college because there is no salary cap on NIL money. There is no, cap on recruiting. There's no nothing. The NFL has real rules about free agency, about salary cap. You can't just jettison like Dak Prescott and his like $1 billion contract and then just like be like, oh, we'd actually like Shadur Sanders to just show up and be the quarterback. Like, that's not how the NFL works. Like, they would the Cowboys wouldn't have a draft pick until like 2040 if they tried to trade up to get Shadur Sanders in this draft. And then they'd still have to pay Dak Prescott like $300 million. So like, that's not a thing that can happen. And then, so then you're like, okay, well, you know, maybe like the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, he can talk to men, like all of these coaches that are interviewing, any of them, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Brian Flores, Kellen Moore's probably going to be, you know, interviewing with the Cowboys. That makes a lot of sense. Joe Brady from the Bills. All of these guys, you know, I mean, maybe even Arthur Smith, as horrifying as that is, like all of these guys talk to men. They're all NFL coaches, like, and they're all successful.
I think the problem with Deion is
that has this unique ability to connect with 30-year-old men is crazy.
Well, what is his specialty, right? So, you know, you bring in these coaches. Ben Johnson's an offensive guru. You bring in Vrabel, he's a defensive specialist. I mean, if you're a leader of men, does that mean you're a great general manager and you have the propensity to bring in a great staff around you and work in Jerry's world? Deion is going to be in the NFL at some point. It's just remarkable that it's the Dallas Cowboys that are potentially going to do it, because you could see him getting in with maybe a lower profile team, seeing what happens. But here, I mean, it is just going to be total just chaos, entertainment, spectacle. So that's where his pitch to Jerry, what is he bringing to the table? And I think that's probably the willingness to work in Jerry's way of working, where he's still the GM. He still picks the groceries. He'll tell Deion. So I think Deion just plays nice and just kind of waits it out. It's a wild card, but Dallas, I mean, what else do you have? I mean, you're going to have to do something, but you have Dak Prescott, and you have to give him good coaching the last couple of years. So if you bring in Deion, you better bring in an offensive coordinator guru or something. But that's my question. I don't know what he brings to the table in the NFL.
Well, that's
okay.
What's his specialty? Exactly what is
He
Deion?
brings excitement. He brings excitement.
Yeah.
He puts fans in the seats.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to.
There's
go
already
to
fans, though. It's the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys.
I mean, no, but that's why I
Here's
don't
what
think
I'll
It's like the Yankees hired a manager and being like, oh, yeah, now we're going to, like, you know, everyone's excited about the Yankees. Like, everyone's excited about the Yankees if you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
I think he should go. He should go to the Raiders. I mean, he should go to one of these teams that are just, you know, they're just. Look, if we had, I wish the Titans would hire him tomorrow and fire Callahan, who is not a head coach at all. He's an offensive coordinator. I'd take him in a heartbeat. At least to be exciting, seeing him on the sidelines. Got to do something, right?
Yeah, but
if
okay.
he wants
So
to go to the NFL, I think he should. Go
but
go
historically, you've been a Deion fan since he was at Jackson State. I mean, you've been defending Deion for years. So take that with a grain of salt. You just love Deion, which is great. I love Deion too. I mean, I think
the Cowboys love Deion.
A couple things about. So, okay, the first thing is I want to respond to a comment made, Nate. Arthur Smith cannot talk to men. The rest of those guys can, but having been a Falcons fan, I can tell you Arthur Smith can't talk to anyone and make any sense. He's like he's not the guy at all. If they hire Arthur Smith out of all these great candidates, then you know you should be more worried. But you make a good point about Brian Flores, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn. Like, I mean, those are better qualified. Like, those are good choices. You fire McCarthy, get one of these, you know, really attractive coordinators from the Lions team, or Brian Flores, who I think should get another shot. But the two coordinators from the Lions, I mean, the Lions have been sustaining success forever, in part because they have managed to keep their offensive and defensive coordinator while Dan Campbell tries to win a Super Bowl. And so that would be the better option. But as far as Deion Sanders goes, I mean, Nate, I don't hate it as much as I don't think it would be as awful as you think it would be. But then again, like, when was the last time, Nate, as a Cowboys fan, you have been excited? You haven't been frustrated at a Jerry Jones coaching hire. You weren't exactly thrilled when they hired McCarthy. And before that, you were, I mean, you were probably 7 years old when they hired Jason Garrett, considering he was, you know, coaching the team for 40 years or whatever. So, you know, there's Parcells. Maybe you were pumped about that. I don't know.
Parcells era wasn't terrible.
Parcells was, you had to roll. Hey, I do find this inevitable. I think this is already done. And this is my conspiracy theory. Like, the late McCarthy firing. Yeah, it is. It's done. It is done. Deion is the coach of the Cowboys. Talk to me next week.
why are you guys blowing off McCarthy? I mean, McCarthy's a great coach. Why you all
I didn't say anything
blowing
bad
him
about
off?
Western PA,
Look,
Pittsburgh.
I'd take my team. I wish we had McCarthy. The guy's a proven winner. He had a bad season in Dallas. Wheels came off. Other than that, the guy was winning games, went to the Super Bowl. I mean, he calls his own plays. What's wrong with him?
I didn't say anything bad about him. I just spit facts that he got fired this week. That's all I said. I didn't say he was a bad coach.
Peter's sitting there laughing his tail off.
I mean, he's a Pittsburgh boy. I love McCarthy.
Peter Kriebel's sitting there laughing his tail off at us because his team, he thinks he's going to the Super Bowl. He's got Harbaugh's been there forever. Everything is stable. They got Derrick Henry. They got all the best players. He's just sitting there sitting pretty. All of us, our teams are all of them are a mess. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Dallas.
No, wrong.
Tennessee.
Wrong.
Atlanta's a mess.
Atlanta's not a mess.
Atlanta's
not a mess. I love our coach, and we
got
$180 million.
You could win like 8 games in the worst division.
Okay. I mean, all right. We're all going to need to get some rest after this. No better way to get some rest than Healthy Cell REM sleep. John's a big believer in it. John, tell us how we can get some better sleep.
I tell you what, man. I never leave home without it. Ann and I take it. My whole family takes it. Joe takes it. You got to get sleep. Sleep is the key to being healthy, to feeling good, to having energy. And I used to toss and turn all night, and I don't get enough sleep because I got to get up at 3:45 a.m. every day. But my REM sleep, man, I take that in 10 minutes. I am out. I dream. So you go in that deep sleep, and it's in a package. Just tear it off and down it. I do that. I brush my teeth. I go to bed. I'm out. And then I wake up. I jump out of bed, ready to go and face the day, all because of one thing, REM sleep from Healthy Cell. If you do nothing else to help yourself this year in 2025, get a good night's sleep. And it's so affordable. These things that we promote here, they're not expensive, folks. I mean, it's very affordable, and it's going to really impact how you feel and your life. And all you have to do is go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, healthycell.com/Godzilla. You put in promo code Godzilla, you're going to get 20% off your first order. Now, I'm a big Healthy Cell believer. I'm a friend. I've become friends with Dr. G. Papa, who's invented it. I take the multivitamin when I get up. I take the joint health and mobility, and then I take REM sleep. So I get the vitamins. I'm feeling better. I get a good night's sleep. It's the best investment I made, and it's just not that much money. Promo code Godzilla, 20% off. You're good to go.
All right, Peter. Peter was kind of bouncing in and out, but I want to hear his opinion. Just the final word on Neon Dion potentially being a Dallas Cowboy. Peter, just give us the pros and cons here as the voice of reason, because none of us can see reason.
Right. I mean, I would be concerned about it only because the Dion show has kind of been like a comprehensive control of the Colorado program. And you're not going to get that in Dallas because of Jones. We don't really know, what his offensive or defensive philosophy is. He's never been a coach at any level in the NFL. And I mean, you watch Colorado, and as far as roster construction, they completely neglected the offensive line. They ran kind of like a basic spread offense that couldn't compete with, the best of college football. Like, I mean, obviously it would be different in the NFL because you have professionals around him, but I don't think you have the sway just because of how structured the NFL is. Like, I don't think he would be the master recruiter that, quite frankly, is up for debate even at the college level.
All right, let's move on. We're going to do
basically. Peter gave him an analytical thumbs down, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Which all of us were incapable of.
So let's just go around the horn. Let's just go around the horn. Who gives him a thumbs up as a coach, and who gives him the thumbs down? I'll start. Thumbs up. I want him.
I'm going thumbs down after Peter.
Thumbs down.
Peter made some good points, so never mind.
Peter knows more ball than me. All right, let's.
NFL's about entertainment, baby. Bring him back. Let's bring him back.
Damn right, Mitch, baby. Let's go.
Cowboys defense. Let's bring out the whole Cowboys defense as coaches from '95. Let's go.
Well, if you like him so much,
bring him
maybe
back,
in the
man.
next coaching cycle, you can hire him instead of instead of Mike Tomlin. We're going to talk about
here you guys go
the
again.
Steelers postmortem now.
I was waiting for this.
We're going to be talking
Why
about.
is Peter on? Why did we bring Peter on? So you could wait like 10 minutes.
No, I made sure to get on here before.
Yeah.
So-
Peter
so
emailed me
Steelers-
last night or texted me or something, and he was like, "Hey, I didn't get the run sheet."
Yeah.
Peter just texted me. He goes, "How's your Steelers article coming?" I'm like, "You jackass. You jerk. You
When
jack
do we
off."
start? When are you naysayers going to start the Tomlin bashing? Like, is that on the run sheet?
No,
mean,
I mean,
it's
it's not,
it's
it's not on the run
historic.
sheet,
If
but we
it-
can talk about it. So we're going to talk about where the Steelers go from here. Obviously, a little bit of a disappointing season. One of my favorite coaching moves or potential moves is ESPN ran this article. I don't remember. Let me find the author here so I can give him credit. Dan Graziano was predicting some where some coaching candidates might land. And obviously, the Jets are looking for a coach. And he predicted, Dan Graziano at ESPN predicted that Arthur Smith would be the next head
Well,
coach.
Arthur Smith has interviewed with Chicago, and they
Yes.
already said they're not going to hire him. But yes, he's in the running as the Jets, and I think the Steelers would oblige. They're not going to hold him
Perfect
back.
man for the job.
Not going to hold him back. If historically, anyone that's known me for a long time knows that historically, when the heat has got hot on Mike Tomlin, I've always been a supporter.
Yes.
For forever, even this year, after last year, I thought this year he listened to his critics, brought in an offensive coordinator. Now, if it worked out or not, well, it's up for debate. So he tried to change the culture of the team, and tried to, got rid of his first round draft pick that was from Pittsburgh, from Pitt, so he tried to make the changes, and obviously we saw what happened. Start 10-3, and then to lose 5 in a row to end. When historically, and now I'm saying at the beginning of his career, his record in December used to be amazing. At one point, it was like 11-1. Now it is awful. The last 6 years, when the way he's ending seasons, or specifically in the playoffs, is alarming. But he is strictly in quarterback purgatory, and that's his making too. I said that last week. He shops the groceries. He has final say. When Ben Roethlisberger wasn't allowing, or had some feelings about other quarterbacks coming in, they obliged. So they waited till he retired, and this is what happened. They had a chance. Lamar Jackson was drafted when they could have had him. They could have had they could have had 2 of the quarterbacks that are in the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts was in a draft in 2018. So they could have fixed it. The problem is they don't, and now they're stuck with probably keeping Justin Fields, rolling him out for one more year. If he's successful, so be it. Maybe you have a future. Or if he's not, maybe for the love of God, maybe have a losing season so you can get a good quarterback. But they're not going to fire him. I think the only way he leaves is kind of the same way Cowher and Knoll left, on their own accord. But it might be time. Tomlin himself has to be looking and going, hey, man, at some point, this isn't fun for me either. Andy Reid is having all the success in his second chapter of his career, and Tomlin's still young, but it's not going to happen yet. The Steelers, traditionally, if they have assistant coaches under contract, they don't fire them. So people that want Terrell Austin and the offensive coach, Pat, gone, I don't know if they'll do that. So it's a bad spot. It's a weird, like the Commanders who are in the second round of the playoffs. I feel like the Steelers are kind of like the Commanders this last 30 years. We're that team now. And without a franchise quarterback and a coach, that's message is kind of getting stale. It's a bad spot for the Steelers.
Peter, what?
Well, that was a long
response?
analysis to nowhere. So should they fire him or not?
No, they're not going to fire him. It doesn't matter. Should they
Fire him.
or will they? They're not. So I mean,
they're-
they won't fire him.
They're not going to fire him, but I am interested to know what our other AFC North, what is it? AFC North? What are you guys in? The AFC? Yeah, AFC North analyst thinks about it.
Yeah, I think you hit on it. It's a little bit of that, like, I guess it's true with any coach. But I remember there was a lot of discussion with Belichick of like Belichick, the drafter and the GM versus Belichick, the coach. Like Tomlin, the motivator, is among the best. Like he routinely gets more out of guys than I think most other coaches would. but you said it, like he plays a role in that roster construction, and a lot of the roster construction, just the team philosophy has been dated. I mean, only recently had they started drafting offensive players in the first round. Like it was a 10-year stretch where they pretty much went all defense. And finally, they started getting some guys, whether it's Najee Harris or Broderick Washington or Kenny Pickett. And you think about that list, and it's like they haven't hit on that. And I think Tomlin, similarly to Vrabel, is coordinator dependent, and the coordinators that they brought in have not been good. And so Tomlin, is just kind of stuck in the past as far as, like, unfortunately today in the NFL, defense just isn't what it used to be. Like, you can't win without a premier quarterback. You look at the Denver Broncos, how they got destroyed last week. They were a top 2 defense in the league by pretty much all metrics. And it's just, you need a guy at quarterback. And part of that is on Tomlin. And part of it is that he's just puts them in too good a position to ever be in the top 5 to get one. Like kind of you alluded to, Mitch. The floor never falls out with Tomlin, but they also have this very firm ceiling that seems to kind of reveal itself after you guys get your expectations up. And so that's frustrating, and I understand that. So there's a part of me that, like, there's a reality where they get a good coordinator, they get a good quarterback, Tomlin gets the most out of the defense, and they're awesome. The way the Ravens have been, like, it's the same kind of system as Harbaugh runs. But right now, they just Tomlin kind of needs to reinvent himself and find a way to get more out of his offense.
I mean, I kind of want to jump in here real quick. Okay. Quickly, Nate, I'll go quick, but I guess if you're Mike Tomlin, what do you gain out of staying in Pittsburgh? Like, just from the Mike Tomlin perspective, I mean, it's been, Mitch, when's the last time the Steelers won a playoff game? 2017. Something like that. So
field goals against Kansas City before,
right? Yeah.
Before Pat.
So 5 years, 5 or 6 seasons without a playoff win. He is such a 9. Oh my God.
8.
He's such a good coach, as Peter's saying, that there is not he's never going to lose 3 games. Like, that's that Jeff Fisher sort of thing where, like, there are some coaches who just know how to win 7-8 games. But the personnel decisions haven't been good. Holding on to Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, fine, you're a loyal organization, but that obviously wasn't a good move. So I think from a Tomlin perspective, if the right job opened up, I don't know what that would be right now. Like, I mean, you're looking around the league and being like, hell yeah, I want to coach the Titans or the Bears or the Jets. Like, forget it. Wait until like a different type of job opens up. Maybe Andy Reid retires. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, Andy Reid's always kind of floating that idea after he wins another Super Bowl or something. I mean, there's a lot of jobs that could open up that are like more attractive.
A fine place for Tomlin to land.
Yeah, maybe. But then from the Steelers, and yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. Trevor Lawrence kind of sucks. But then from a Steelers standpoint, like Mitch said this earlier, this is a quarterback league, and you don't have a quarterback, and Justin Fields is not the answer. So you're not winning any playoff games with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. It's just not happening.
So,
Jack,
I mean,
I gotta say one thing.
All right,
Jack, you're on fire today, Jack. I don't know what's in that tea. Is that the tea that
I had
mom got you for Christmas or something? Well, you're on fire today. I love the Jeff Fisher win 8
Well,
games.
Of course you do, but we don't need to we don't need to
that
talk
was a
about
great
Jeff
analogy.
Fisher.
That was a great analogy.
God, don't bring up Jeff Fisher with Mike Tomlin. God,
no, it's a great analogy. Jack's on fire today.
No.
Okay. So I guess I keep thinking about, like, this is like sort of like Mitch's, like, I guess, like I sort of like Mitch is like in this like existential dilemma of being a Tomlin fan and also a Steelers fan. And there's sort of like, for the Steelers, for the bottom to fall out, necessarily almost they have to have a bad enough season that Tomlin gets fired, right? Like, if they have a losing season, if they have a bad enough season to where they can get a good quarterback and maybe start the rebuild, Mike Tomlin will be fired at the end of that season. Like,
because his calling card is keeping his locker room together, and the last few seasons he hasn't. I mean, you're starting to hear rumblings about Arthur Smith and Russell not getting along, and obviously last year where they get rid of Deontay Johnson, obviously we see he is he's a problem in everyone's locker room. But his calling card is keeping everyone together, and that hasn't happened in the last couple of years. So the messaging just might be getting stale. Cowher said his messaging got stale. That's why he left. After winning a Super Bowl, basically. So the end is nigh.
Maybe it's like the Tomlin Overton window, right? No matter what you do, it's going to open the wrong way. Yeah, it's kind of a dilemma, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, because it's like Tomlin will win you 8 or 9 games, but you're never going to have a good quarterback, and you're never going to make it far in the playoffs. Or Tomlin the bottom's going to fall out, and he's going to get fired, and whatever the Steelers do next is going to be with a new head coach and a new quarterback. Probably.
Tell you what, if this was the Premier League, we'd be the best. We don't have to do anything in the playoffs. Everything's regular season. He's the best Premier League NFL coach in history.
Well, I tell you what, both he and Deion Sanders, they're two of my favorite coaches because you guys know I'm a Christian, and they wear the biggest crosses in every game. I just think that's fabulous, but only to be outdone by Deion. That's got his cross is now bigger than it's like the biggest cross I've ever seen.
I think it's referred to as a Jesus piece.
A Jesus piece. I mean, the guy is. When you're able to do that on TV and just you don't care because you just are a believer. I mean, it's just like I don't care what it is. Tomlin, like I'll take Tomlin. Of course, as a Titans fan, I'll take it. Any of these coaches you mentioned, except Arthur Smith, I'll take any of them. I tell you what, we're in D.C. right now, getting ready for the inauguration, obviously. And we have a place here. And Ann, our CEO, my wife, estimated that she went to My Pillow. We never went to the store, right? Everything got shipped here. She estimated that she saved, had she gone to like Wayfair or something, $2,000 for better products. Because we got, this is unbelievable. We got 2 beds, 2 bed frames. Of course, Joe got the smaller bed when he comes to visit. King size bed, full size bed, Giza sheets, pillows, pillowcases, bed frames, towels, slippers, kitchen towels. I mean, it goes on. Blankets, down comforter, whole thing all came here. Ship, we save about $2,000. But the towels are to die for. Anything, and they've got great sales right now. He's got a sale going on right now, Michael Dell, My Pillow. A set of towels, normally $49, $29.98. Right now, it's an inauguration day special, just for inaugural week. So you only have a few days. Going to save $20 off the other savings. You get these towels there to die for. You don't want anything else. Best thing ever made. All you got to do, folks, is go to mypillow.com/Godzilla, mypillow.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. And if you don't have the MyPillow towels, get them now, $29.98. You're going to get a set of towels. They're absolutely fantastic. You also got the kitchen towels there. You can get those if you haven't got the MyPillow slippers. You're depriving yourself one of the greatest comforts in life ever. The down comfort is all there. The Giza sheets are on sale, but you just got to go there, check it out. It's like a shopping spree, and you get all this stuff. The savings are amazing. Just go to mypillow.com, promo code /Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Do it now. And free shipping through the end of the month. Free shipping. $29 towels, free shipping. He's giving it away. Let's go. mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla.
With all those savings, you can get yourself a little mobile crucifix yourself, John. Put it around your neck and carry it around.
I'm gonna be able to do that. They were selling them somewhere. I thought, but I want the Dion one that's like weighs you down.
Yeah,
in DC,
need a little more savings.
In DC, they took they took their failed segways in DC and just made them mobile crucifixes that were just moving around.
All right, let's so we're gonna drag some of these segments into the next hour because I think that we've been really kind of crushing these little reactions and thoughts and stuff, and we don't really have that many games to talk about. So we're just gonna kind of lead with biggest surprises, may drag into the next hour, but I want to bring it up now. Like, obviously, we had the wild card round last week. A few surprises, I think. The Texans were kind of the most shocking to me in a good way. I mean, I did not expect them to just totally dominate the Chargers in the way that they did. But what were some people sort of like, what was your big surprise over the wild card sort of rounds as we sort of...
Hey guys, hang on a minute. Al, you're going to have to mute my mic. There seems to be a protests going outside in the park downstairs from my window.
Tomlin,
So
they're Dion fans.
I don't know
Or
what's going
Tomlin
on, but
haters.
it's going to be bleeding through. They've got bullhorns or something. I don't know what they're doing out there. So it's what is it, honey?
They're against gambling.
It's the Pink Ladies anti-Trump march. They decided to do it right outside.
Okay, but
window.
all right, but
They decided to do it outside my window.
but we don't, but we can't hear it. So there wasn't really any reason to bring that up until. No, we can't hear it. So the feedback is fine. But I think we're at the top of the hour, Nate, if you just want to roll this into the next hour.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll just we're just going to pick up where we left off here. We're going to be talking for the next hour. We're going to be talking we're going to be looking back to the wild card round. We're going to biggest surprises, biggest disappointments, and then we're going to be breaking down every game. We got Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, Rams, Eagles, Ravens, Bills. To kind of lead us out, we're also going to be talking the scariest team left in the playoffs, which team looks like, sort of like a walkthrough win. I mean, obviously they're not any walkthroughs anymore, but at this point, there are some teams you'd probably rather play than maybe not play. So we'll be talking all of that, everything, preview, looking back, looking forward. We're ready for all of it, and we'll be back in just 1 minute. We're just going to do a quick reset, refill our coffees, get geared up. 1 more hour. Don't change the dial. We will see you in 60 seconds.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Welcome back to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We are talking all sorts of NFL stuff coming up. We're responding to the wild card stuff. We're going to be breaking down games. We're going to be talking about who our sort of big favorite team is left in the playoffs. Who we'd want to play if we were a fan of an opposing team. All of that good stuff. We're going to be giving out some picks a little bit later on. But just want to remind everyone that if you have a gambling problem, these picks are for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a problem, you should call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 800-327-5050 or go to gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, 877-G-HOPE-NY or just text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700, Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org if you're in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you're in Oregon. But also like to remind everyone that today's show is brought to you by Native Path. You can go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. We're all big collagen users in this company. Jack, John, Mitch, myself, Jay when he's on sometimes, and the CEO of the company. Everyone's using collagen. Everyone's using it to get better skin, better hair, better nails, better joint health. When you get a little bit older, your body isn't getting enough collagen to sort of repair itself. And, you just need a little supplement. You can throw it in your coffee, throw it in your protein shake, throw it in a glass of water, throw it in some OJ, however you want to get your collagen, dump it in, hit it with the frother, slurp it down, and you're going to notice results quickly. Go to getnativepath.com. /Godzilla and get started on your collagen journey for as low as $21 a month. That's less than $1 a day, up to 45% off regular if you use. Go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. All right. We got a lot to talk about. We haven't even really talked about, we've just been talking about coaching hires and this and that. And, me getting fired up about Dion and the plight of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We haven't even talked about any games that happened last week. And we haven't talked about any games that are happening today and tomorrow. So now is the time. What were our biggest surprises from the wild card round? I mean, for me, it was like I said in the previous hour, I didn't expect the Texans to just totally roll over the Chargers. I mean, that was like eye-opening to me. The Texans kind of limped into the playoffs. They looked like a team that was kind of just too beat up, just not really sure of what they were. And then they came out and just dominated the Chargers team that I felt like was getting better. What were you guys' sort of biggest surprises over the weekend, last weekend?
Vikings getting blown out. Out. How do you win 14 games? I mean, I had a Minnesota talk show guy, the Ox, on my show, I think on Friday, one of the friends in the business, and like they just couldn't believe it. And I think the team spent like several $1 million, $3 or $4 million on tickets to get fans there. Like they gave them the tickets. So it was basically a home game for the Purple People Eaters or whatever you want to call them now. And to just get in there and get blown out. I mean, they came within one game of having a first round bye, winning the division, being a first round bye, to go into a neutral site and getting crushed. And one of you guys last week have to take credit for this. I don't know which one of you. I forget. I'm getting older, but one of you said, "You know what? I wonder." I think it was my son. I wonder if we're going to see the real Sam Darnold on this playoff game. And my God, if he didn't nail that, because you saw the Sam Darnold.
I don't think that was me. I
think that was me talking about last week when Sam Darnold played.
Yeah. Like maybe. I mean, Sam Darnold, and Peter can probably speak more to this because he's pretty good with the kind of the statistics. I mean, Sam Darnold has been trending downward lately, and he had an awful game against the Rams. I actually am not surprised that the Vikings lost that game. I think the Rams are a very, very dangerous team in the playoffs. I also think that, I mean, the Rams beat the Vikings in the regular season. They're the only other team other than the Lions to beat them in the regular season. There's no reason they couldn't have beat them again. I think the Vikings were a bit of a fraud with Sam Darnold, and I'm not actually surprised that the Rams won that game. I mean, I picked the Rams to win. I picked them to cover. I thought that was a pretty good bet.
Spread on the Rams.
I think the Vikings got exposed. So they've had a terrible offensive line the entire season. Sam Darnold played obviously above his weight class for most of the year, but any quarterback in that offense, if the running game wasn't working or they were in an obvious passing down situation, was going to struggle. The Vikings, I believe, are a couple moves away from being completely and truly dominant. And this was probably a godsend that they figured out that Sam Darnold's not their quarterback. You don't have to spend the exorbitant contract on him. You get to roll with JJ McCarthy. You get to get some draft picks at offensive line and fix it up. And but you're right, the Rams, we talked about it weeks ago. If you keep Stafford upright, he's going to torch you. And when Cooper Kupp is your second option at receiver, you're in a pretty good spot, and your defense is playing outstanding too. So Sam Darnold, the last 2 weeks just exposed, and you can see it on coach's face. I mean, and watching it, but I think it was a godsend. It's going to be a blessing that happened, because they'll know what then they're going to roll with the rookie quarterback or second year quarterback next year.
Peter, biggest surprise?
The Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaden Daniels, as someone, I'm a Ravens fan. I've seen what it takes to scratch and claw for that first playoff win. And Jaden Daniels just walks in, goes and gets it with a smile on his face, like he does everything. And so, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, there's no way they're going to go into Detroit and win that game. But at every turn, this guy has just kind of outperformed our expectations and defied what we thought was possible out of a rookie quarterback. It wasn't a perfect game. Like I thought Dan Quinn was pretty aggressive on fourth down, maybe more than he should have been. Lucked out with that Baker Mayfield fumble. But, I mean, they were right there with the Bucs. It wasn't a fluky win. And, I just don't know how far Jaden Daniels can take this thing. And it's pretty exciting for a fan base which has kind of been deprived of some of this joy to have a guy who has really just excelled with kind of a pedestrian team around
Peter,
him.
you're from this area. I was at the 106.7 watch party yesterday at a bowling alley, and there was Commanders fans were just going nuts. I mean, it's been since '91 since they've had hope there. Real quick, and I'll be real quick. My biggest surprise, honestly, is Justin Herbert's just failing to come up big in the moment.
Yeah.
4 interceptions. I know one wasn't his fault. I just pictured that once he got the opportunity, I know he's in a new system, but I just pictured that he was one of the elites. He's one of the top 5s. And once he got the opportunity, he was just going to show us something and maybe go on a magic run but he's just doesn't have it yet. Something's missing there, and maybe just another year with Harbaugh. But that was a big surprise that he didn't step up, and he just failed miserably and looked uncomfortable the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusual because Harbaugh's like sort of MO is like getting quarterbacks comfortable in big games and in big moments and sort of getting the best out of them in those situations. And for whatever reason, I mean, he couldn't get it out of Justin Herbert. He just couldn't.
Yeah, but we saw Herbert do this against Jacksonville, like what, 2 years ago when that game.
I always just thought it was coaching. I didn't think it was Herbert, but now
yeah, that's I thought, yeah, me too.
It may be, that's the thing. It may be Herbert.
Not to be a Herbert apologist, because there are a lot of those, but I will say Greg Roman coordinating that offense, and I'm not saying that was a bad, like, balls were bouncing off of Will Dissly's hands, right? Like that's not on anyone. And Herbert did not play well, but I am telling you right now, there's an expiration date on a Greg Roman offense. There was with Lamar, and Harbaugh, by all accounts, I think is a great coach. But if he, is handcuffed to Roman, there are going to be problems with this down the road. And eventually Herbert will, outgrow the system. And it's just going to be a question of whether Harbaugh is willing to part with his friend.
Yeah, look, that's an important point, because that just made me think of, I edited Peter's articles for maybe 2 years. And the amount of Greg Roman mea culpas in those articles, Peter was always like, oh my God, Greg, we have got to get rid of Greg Roman. This is not working. So that's a good point to bring up. There probably is an expiration date. The Greg Roman offense, Peter, may have expired 3 years ago, regardless of where he's at. So I'm not exactly sure he's the answer.
All right, so we're in the divisional round. There's not a lot of soft spots left. All of these teams can play. We know that. Which team is sort of the scariest to you if you're a fan of a team? Like, which team do you just not really want to play in the Super Bowl or in the conference championship round or in the divisional round? Like, which team just like gives you the heebie-jeebies looking at these matchups right now and sort of where we're going moving forward?
The Ravens.
The Ravens, yeah.
I feel like the Ravens. I was saying this to my father last week, and I said, I feel like we're watching Michael Jordan once it got past the Detroit Pistons, and it's just his time. At some point, we may be witnessing the greatest football player to ever lace up the cleats, and it pains me to say that as it's a Ravens player. But at some point, he has to win a championship, and it just feels like it's lined up for this. You've struggled historically with the Steelers. You beat them twice in a row. Boom, monkey off your back. Now you go face Josh Allen, do your thing there. Boom, another monkey off your back, and then it's Mahomes. I mean, it's lining up just perfectly for him to do that, and I feel like we're just watching one of those runs that there's nothing you can do about it. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to the Lamar thing a little bit, I was talking to somebody when I was back in Reno over the holidays, and they were just asking me like sports talk radio question, and it hasn't made its way onto the show, but I think it's relevant to sort of think about now. Is like, he was like, who do you think needs to win more this postseason? Do you think it's Josh Allen, or do you think that it's Lamar Jackson? And I said, I think that there's more pressure on Josh Allen because he's sort of gotten close. He just hasn't quite gotten there. Lamar hasn't really shown a lot in the playoffs, so I don't even know if there's that much. Like, I think after the first win, it's just sort of like, all right, now we're playing with house money, and Lamar seems to be playing pretty damn loose, and he seems to be playing like that. Like, there's not a lot of pressure on him, and I think that that's kind of a good thing. Like, it seems like all the sort of like expectations that have sort of hampered him in the past, like he's not having those. Like, he's playing free and he's playing hard right now. And yeah, the Ravens are scary as hell. Who else? What other teams sort of worry you guys?
I don't want to play if I'm in the playoffs right now. The last team I want to play is Washington. I just don't want to play them. They don't care. I mean, you watched that team last week against Tampa. They were not intimidated. That young fella, I mean, he reminds me of Dan Marino when he was a rookie, when he took Miami to the Super Bowl, and then they got subsequently blown out by San Francisco. But he reminds me of Marino back then. I think it was the 80s or something of that nature. Early 80s. Reagan, I think, was president. But he just won all these playoff games. I mean, I think this is a very dangerous team. They score at will. It's like whenever he's got to get the ball down the field, he seems to get it. And their defense is horrible, but they manage to stay in these games. I don't know how they do it. They manage to stay. They hang around, and then they give Jalen Daniels the ball at the end. He goes down the field and kicks a field goal when time expires or gets a touchdown on the final play. I don't know how they're doing it. I have no idea, but they got zero pressure on them. You can tell they're having fun, and this young fella is amazing to watch. The poise for his age is incredible. He just stands there in the pocket. I mean, nothing phases him. He finds guys open. He's got a pinpoint arm. So and they actually do have some semblance of a running game. And I don't know, as bad as their defense is, they just managed to, get a turnover or something. So, I don't want to play. If I'm the Lions, this to me is my worst draw. I'd rather play Tampa. I'd rather play somebody. I don't want to play Washington because they're crazy. Who the hell knows what they're going to do? To me, that's
I guess if that's how we're defining what gives you the heebie-jeebies, then I guess I'm a little worried about. I'd be worried about the Commanders and the Rams. But on a more negative connotation for the heebie-jeebies, I'm not really a Texans believer here. I mean, I just feel like the Chargers were so bad in that game.
Yeah.
And I kind of think the Texans are an early out here in the divisional round. I do love that they keep making the Texans play at 3:30 on Saturday for Saturdays, every single playoff game. That's like I love that. That's like the Texans spot. I think
just get this out of the way. Yeah,
they're just like a college team.
Yeah, which is too bad because Houston has like a pretty big fan base. I mean that stadium was not easy to play in on Saturday, but I think they get destroyed by the Bills in this game. I mean, I'm not a Texans.
The Chiefs. The Chiefs.
I'm sorry, the Chiefs. Yeah,
I agree with
you. If I could, John, I love the Marino comparison, and I'm sure that there are Commanders fans out there who listen to that and are saying, "No, not Marino," right? Because you go on that crazy run and you never get back. And so you're right. It's kind of an exciting point where they don't know, the players don't know how special it is to be in the playoffs and winning. The fans know how hard it is. So they're loose and whatever, but don't take it for granted because it might never happen again.
Well, no, and I think that's what Dan Quinn has to impart in them, right? You're in there and say, "Hey, yes, we've done all this. We've had a great season, but you never know if you're ever going to get back. So play as hard as you can." So, but they are playing with house money. It is funny that we bring up the Chiefs barely. We even got their game wrong. We are just disrespecting the Chiefs so much. Like they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're so boring and lame, and they're going to just win.
8.5. The Chiefs are 8.5. Nate, on this game, I already bet the Chiefs. Everybody is all over.
What an easy path to the title.
Everybody's betting.
Everybody all over the Texans.
Everybody that I know, everybody that I know in my betting world, they're all betting the Texans 8.5. They think they got a shot to win the game. I'm the contrarian. I bet the Chiefs. I'd lay 10. I still look
14. San
Diego. I like that too. San Diego played so bad. Jack nailed it. They were just pathetic, and so all of a sudden it's the Texans. You know what? They just about got. They played in a terrible division. All the teams in there suck. That's how they won all these games. I think they go to Kansas City and get smoked.
Okay, so the Kansas City. We'll talk about this later, actually. Because the Chiefs don't cover these spreads like ever, but we'll talk about that when we're breaking down the game, which we're going to get to next. But I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You're not going to be able to follow us on TikTok after tomorrow, but go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, all of the other extant social media sites that will be existing after tomorrow. Go to Godzilla Wins Big. We're on all those platforms. Follow us for best bets. We're trying to grow them a little bit, trying to grow the show's profile a little bit. So go ahead and give us a shout on those. We're going to get into some games here, but John, why don't you tell us about some other games you like doing? Maybe little Rosies.
Well, listen, this is the coolest thing. I've been such a supporter of bringing horse racing back to Virginia. As everybody knows, I've fought the battle for a very long time. We finally got Colonial Downs there. And now we've hit in horse racing the proverbial jackpot. So there is now a second weekend meet at Colonial Downs racetrack in New Kent, just outside of Richmond, Virginia, that is going to be March 13th, 14th, and 15th. This is so cool because on Saturday, the 15th, they're going to run the Virginia Derby there. Now, this has never been done. It's always at the end of the summer in August or September. The winner of the Virginia Derby has an automatic qualifier for the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs in May. So not only are you getting the Virginia Derby in the middle of March at one of the most beautiful, gorgeous racetracks ever, but then the winner goes to the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be 3 days of just fantastic horse racing. All the top trainers are going to be there. The top jockeys are going to be there. I mean, what they've done with Virginia horse racing has been nothing short of amazing. I was there at the beginning fighting with the General Assembly to get something done, and finally they did, and it's just going to be fantastic. Now, this thing is going to get sold out. So you want to go to Ticketmaster, go to Ticketmaster. General admission is $5 right now, $5. This is a day in Virginia horse racing history you don't want to miss. There's a new meet there, 3 days only, 13th, 14th, and 15th, which is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and on Saturday, the Virginia Derby. The winner automatic bid to the Kentucky Derby. This thing is going to be packed. Get your tickets now. Go to Ticketmaster, general admission $5. You've also got time to get a table upstairs. You can go to the Jockey Club. There's all sorts of options there. Go to Ticketmaster. Do it now. Colonial Downs, March 15th, Virginia Derby, baby. Got to be there.
All right. Let's start breaking down some games. We sort of teased it, but now we can get into it in earnest. Texans taking on the Chiefs. Texans are an 8.5-point underdog. The Chiefs are 15-2. They have covered an 8.5-point spread 4 times this season. So 11 of their wins have not covered an 8.5-point spread. 4 of them have. Those 4 wins came against the Saints, a 49ers team that was banged up, a Steelers team towards the end of the season, and the Browns who had no quarterback. Those are the only times they've ever covered 8.5 this whole season. Every other, they played the Broncos under 8.5 both times. Raiders covered both times that spread. Chargers would have covered it both times when they played them. It's hard to find like a good resounding victory for the Chiefs. And now they're in the divisional round of the playoffs and they're a gigantic favorite and we're all expecting them to cover. And I don't know why. John, just go ahead and just tell me why you think that this is the time that they finally cover a huge spread.
It's in Kansas City. It's at Arrowhead. It's Chiefs playoff football. It's Mahomes. It's everything put together. Add in an extra week for Andy Reid to prepare everything. When you look at Andy Reid's record, when he's got that bye, it is off the charts and every game's a blowout. Everybody and their brother is picking the Houston Texans with the 8.5. A lot of people betting them on the money line think they go in this game. They're going to get blown out. I'm going with Mahomes. I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going with the champs minus 8.5. Big time.
Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just going to say I learned my lesson. AFC Championship game last year in Baltimore, everything going our way, number 1 defense of football, and it just doesn't matter. They're different in the playoffs, and it's all the little things like crazy gravity defying releases that somehow he gets off, and then Kelsey is there. They just turn it up a notch. They're bored in the regular season, and yeah, like they kind of just walked to 15 wins this year. But yeah, that three-peat, they set it on the stage of the post-game conference at the Super Bowl last year. Like that three-peat is a legit goal of theirs, and they are a different team in the playoffs.
So, I mean, Dad mentioned everybody's on the Texans. I mean, or something. That's not true. Most of the money and the bets for the money line are on the Chiefs, and it's about 50-50 for the spread as of right now. That's both for money and for bets. I think I'm with Peter in the sense that there's no way the Chiefs lose this game. I think the Chiefs should be favored to win the Super Bowl. I think they probably will. I think they have a legitimate shot at a three-peat. This is the most frustrating team to watch of all time. It's so annoying to watch them keep doing this over and over again. We want some variety, and they won't let us have it, and that's their prerogative. But one thing that I will say is that their identity this year is to win games by 3 points, not 8.5. So I love the Texans at 8.5, just because. Yeah. Just because of identity. I just said the Texans were going to get crushed, but then I forgot they were playing the Chiefs. So I thought they were playing the Bills. So, then I retract that statement. As far as this goes, I think they win by 3. That's just what they do. I mean, they're going to win this game. It's going to be, relatively easy, but they're also, it's going to be close because that's what the Chiefs have been doing all year this year. And the Texans are tough. CJ Stroud is not necessarily just going to lay down unless he throws 4 picks like Herbert. So I like the Texans to cover the spread trend wise, but I wouldn't money line. I'm not picking against the Chiefs until 2020, till the fall of 2025. You know what I mean? Why would you?
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm rolling with the Texans. I'm rolling with the Chiefs here. The Texans have to. The Texans' recipe to win a game is have great special teams plays, get 4 turnovers. Andy Reid and this Kansas City Chiefs team aren't going to do any of that. They're going to play disciplined. They're not going to turn this ball over. They're going to squirt out a 13-point lead. It might be ho-hum, as Jay would call it. They call it a boring golf game. When you watch your friend just go 5 over all day long and nothing goes crazy. 250 down the middle, right onto the green, 2-putt par. Boring golf game, boring football game. It wins you championships, and that's what Kansas City's formula is. And they don't make mistakes. For the Texans to be able to even come close in this game, Kansas City has to screw up. They won't make any mistakes.
Peter, what are you thinking for this game?
Yeah, I think my biggest, if there is a reason to think the Texans might have a chance, you go back to that 2020 Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, and they got after Mahomes. The Buccaneers did with some, just a 4-man rush, really gave him a lot of trouble. And the Texans have the tools to do that with Hunter and Will Anderson. But yeah, I think Mahomes has grown from that moment and kind of learned to play within his means and within the means of the offense as a whole.
I just can't get over this 8.5-point spread. I mean, I'm just I'm looking at Chiefs results. They're 11-0 in one score games. They've, only won by more 4 times. I just can't get over that. And I just look at so they beat the Chargers by 2 at the beginning of December. They beat they played the Texans less than a month ago when the Texans were sort of in free fall and still only managed an 8-point win. That's still a cover.
Give me the hook.
Yeah, I just don't look at this and think Kansas City's just going to run away from. The only teams they run away from are terrible teams.
What's the over?
That's not even true. They needed a field goal to beat the Panthers at the last second of that game or whatever. So the Chiefs are just
they play bad teams tight.
They're just existing in this space where they beat everybody by 2
You can't even root for them, right?
8.5 is nuts. No, you got 8.5 is too. It's too much. They never cover that spread. That's been the game all year long. It's just been fade the Chiefs when they have these huge spreads.
I know Vegas is stupid. Vegas is dumb. It should be 5. What were they thinking?
It should be 2.
Vegas would do that.
I think 7's fair. The 8.5 just seems like nuts. And if it moves up to 9, that's just crazy stuff. I just don't see it. What is there to be excited about? So the Chiefs basically haven't played meaningful football since Christmas.
Not with Peter, though. I think he made one of the best comments. In the regular season, they're bored. That's a great analogy. It's bored.
Yeah.
So let's just, see if we can block somebody's field goal to win a game and it hits the end of the post or something. I mean, let's just have some fun. They get the playoffs. They get the bye. They get serious. This is some serious football. Hey, by the way, I'm going to put a challenge out to all you guys. I know Jack does this, but I want you to go to the Godzilla Wins and our daily picks. We're picking these games. This is playoff football now, second weekend. I encourage everybody, Nate and Mitch and Peter and Jack, put your daily picks in, put it in, put your little narrative in, and we'll see how everybody does. Challenge.
All right.
I'm in.
Let's move it on to the next game then. We have another game for Saturday. We have the Commanders and Lions tonight. That's going to be exciting. Another big favorite. We have some pretty big spreads in this divisional round. The Lions are a hefty favorite against the Commanders that nobody seems to believe in, and I don't know why. Lions are 9.5-point favorite. If you want to look at the money line, you're going to have to bet $470 to win 100 on the Lions. 100 gets you 400 back for the Commanders. I love the Commanders here too. I just love the dogs here, and maybe I'm just a sucker, but I just can't stop taking these huge point spreads, almost just on principle. I mean, the plus 400 money line is just like insulting. Like 4-1 on the Commanders is just like nuts. I know that John just loves the Lions here, and he's going to smash the hell out of them because I play golf with a bunch of square guys that also love the Lions. So tell me why you love the Lions here, John.
Well, I'm a square. This is going to be a square bet, so you nailed it. And Nate, you know me well. We go back a long time, so this is definitely a square bet. But listen, the party's over here, okay? They had their little run. They had their fun. Now they're playing a team with a real offense that is going to score. I don't know how many times they're going to score here. 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions put a 50 spot up here. I mean, this Washington defense is pathetic. I don't know how they've stayed in these games. I think the party's over. 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 13. I'm laying the wood at home at Ford Field. This is it for them. They've worked so hard to be here. They're not going to take this team lightly. And I think that of all the games, this is the one that I think is going to be a blowout. As far as the comment about the point spread on principle and disrespecting the team, that was my philosophy last week with the Steelers. And how'd that go? I was out of the game in the second quarter.
Yeah, but
my money was gone.
Yeah,
so I took that thing a week ago, and I got my head handed to me on a silver platter. I'm done with that.
You have to pick your spots. The Steelers sucked. Like they were limping into the playoffs. They looked awful, and then you had Mitch whipping everybody up into a frenzy that they were gonna.
He whipped. He did it first. He went first.
Yeah, I know.
He said it was an outrage.
You guys were way too high on the Steelers. I mean, this Commanders team can absolutely hang with the Lions. And look how the NFC North, the big bad NFC North, performed in the first round, in the wild card round. I mean, if you're looking at the Lions and you're saying, hey, well, this team's, yada, yada, 14 wins or whatever, they're maybe the NFC North just wasn't that strong. Packers lost and the Vikings lost in the wild card round. So both pretty easily from a division that we were like, oh my God, this division is the best division in football. And now you have a Lions team that is getting healthier, that should win this game, that should be in the NFC Championship. But I don't know, man. I kind of like the Commanders. Plus 400, plus 360 is ludicrous for a playoff game. Anybody can win these games. The Commanders are not like falling backwards into this game. They've been peaking at the right time. They look really good. I think they can keep it close. I like the 8.5-point spread. I just like the Commanders, like in general. I think they're as dangerous a team as anyone in the playoffs. Maybe the Bills, I feel like, are pretty dangerous. And then I don't know. I mean, I'm really high on the Rams because of Sean McVay, magic. But I think they can hang with the Lions here. they have a great I don't know if they have a great defense, but I know they can score.
I think it's a terrible. It is a terrible matchup for the Commanders on defense. I mean, Ben Johnson is going to be salivating to go after this, and with Amon St. Brown and just what he can do. I mean, it's one of the best offenses we've seen in the last 20 years. I think the play here, and also too, Jaden Daniels' last second plays kind of cover up some of the, they got a little luck go their way to beat Tampa Bay last week. I mean, they had to have a fumble in the fourth quarter just to be able to be there for another last second play. That's not ideal to be able to go on a championship run. But I think what Vegas is begging you to take here is the over. And that's why I'm going the under, because you think about it, the Commanders' game plan is going to be to shorten the game as much as possible, keep that offense off the field, and then you only get like 62 plays on offense. You're right. So unders, when you get the over 54 for me, I'm hammering the under on most times, and there's just going to be nervousness. I don't think the Commanders are going to score as much. I think a couple turnovers resets it back. So I'm going the under heavy here. 2-unit play.
I mean, just to put some numbers on, we talk all the time when we get to the playoffs, and the narrative on ESPN is, well, you gotta love arrested #1 seed, extra prep time, blah blah blah. All of that results in them covering 36% of their spreads. If you just bet every favorite and laid the points in the divisional round, the #1 seed after they got some rest, they cover 36% of the time. You would just be hemorrhaging cash. If you just fade them, then you win 64% of your bets. That's pretty damn good. So, this narrative that like #1 seeds just go out and just roll and just crush teams after getting some rest is not necessarily true. In fact, it's the opposite most of the time. So, I don't like, I mean, if you're saying like, oh, Detroit and, and Kansas City are just going to roll because they're rested, like that's not a thing. The numbers don't back that up. So, I mean, I kind of like, I like Washington here. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I mean, and plus 400 on the money line, like that's pretty fun. Like that's pizza money right there.
That's losing your pizza money. The play's the money line all day long. It really is. That's how the sharps do it.
Peter, tell us about this game. Okay. Now Peter's muted, or someone's muted. I don't know. Peter, are you muted?
No, we can't hear you.
We can't hear anything. Okay. Well, then we'll just keep pressing on about this. I mean, just because, gosh, Jaden Daniels is so like good. And I keep looking at this, and I just think like Commanders has to be the play. Maybe a little sprinkle on the money line, but I can't get over like how excited I am about this Commanders team versus like a Lions team that like just is like kind of banged up. Like they're not like gonna be like healthy like this week. Like they've had so many injuries that were like season long catastrophic stuff.
And Washington and their community, they've wanted this. And like I said in the first hour, it's been since 1992 since they've had a legitimate shot or hope for a championship, maybe 12 with RG3. But I mean, they're excited. Like I said, I was at a viewing party yesterday for the flagship station. Everybody was, rocking out. And so it will be an amazing story. But how bad would it be? Detroit was that story last year. And Detroit, one of the worst franchises ever. If they lose in the divisional round, I don't know. I don't want to see that happen.
You guys are all like trying to find reasons to pick Washington. I find this to be hilarious. You guys call me a square bet.
They're good.
You're all like trying to think of something to say to make your Washington pick seem like reasonable. You're all a stretch here. They're going to get blown out of this game.
Probably.
They are good. This thing is going to be over in the middle of the third quarter. They're going to be down by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Hey, John, 38-3 is still an under, so I still win. So
I'm good with the under.
We give out some stats and numbers, and then Simple John just goes, "You guys are just looking for numbers to back up."
You guys suck.
Plays.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to look at anything, and I'm just going to tell you Detroit rules. I haven't watched a Detroit game all season, but I know they win here.
I watched the Lions. I watched him score. I watched him score at will, and Washington has no defense. But put this up on daily picks, Nate. If I don't see your pick on daily picks, I'm going to be texting you all night. Go down daily picks and put it there. We'll see. We'll see which of us comes out ahead when we get
And,
up on Monday.
Detroit embodies unity. You got Kid Rock and Eminem. Political. You couldn't be further apart. But when their football's playing, they're together in the box, baby,
bringing the city
hanging out.
together of Detroit. Detroit's a city known for their unity.
Detroit's known for unifying.
Peter.
Yeah, no political unrest in Detroit.
Yeah, no, never happened.
Why is it called 8 Mile? I don't get it.
Peter, do you have any thoughts on this game before we move on?
I'm kind of with John here. I think the Lions, that offense matched up against the Commanders' defense that really, has not been able to. I mean, they've been okay. Like, they did all right against the Buccaneers, but really the Lions have scored on kind of everyone. And, yeah, the Lions' defense in stretches have been turnover dependent. But all it takes is one or two, whether that's, Branch or Joseph coming down and doing something that, Aaron Glenn's dialed up to give Jaden Daniels some trouble. I think an early turnover, something like that, the Lions get going, and I think it could get out of hand.
Okay. All right. Let's we're gonna keep it moving here. We got NFC matchup, another one. We have the Rams, who looked excellent, playing the Eagles, who also looked excellent. The Eagles are a 6-point home favorite, totals 43.5. Playing in Philly is always tough in the playoffs. I kind of like the Eagles here. 6 points doesn't scare me. The Rams scare me, but I feel like Philly's just built to win this game. The offensive line, defensive line. I feel like this is Philly's time as far as maybe making like a real Super Bowl run. What's everyone else sort of like here? Are we just piling on the favorites again?
Wrong. And this is why.
Wrong. Okay.
A couple reasons.
Like the McLaughlin group. Wrong.
Yeah, wrong. Here's a couple reasons why. Number one, Nick Sirianni loves to disappoint in these moments. Do not underestimate Nick Sirianni's ability to piss off the entire city of Philadelphia in 4 hours. So that's the one thing, is the Nick Sirianni factor. The other thing is, the Rams are I'm ride or die with the Rams right now. They are so annoying in the playoffs. Like, you talk about the Chiefs, Peter talks about the Chiefs. They sleepwalk through the regular season. It's too easy for them. They get to the playoffs. They do all this nonsense, and then they win the Super Bowl. The Rams are always doing this too. Like, the Rams are always overperforming in the playoffs. Sean McVay is so good. He is so much better than almost every other coach at game planning and winning a playoff game. And I think the Rams come in here and win. I'm not saying they blow them out, but I think they come in. I think they're going to win the game again. I think the Rams are going to be in the NFC Championship again. And I would not be surprised if in 2 weeks we were talking about the Rams in the Super Bowl. I mean, I understand that personnel-wise, they are a mess or whatever. They're not as good as some of these other NFC teams. They have been hot for a long time. They've won a ton of games late in the season. They're coming in peaking. And I don't know. And plus I'm on the West Coast, and I think they're the only real team kind of out here on the West. So I'm also kind of just doubling down on the LA love here, but I'm all in for the Rams, man. I think they win this game. I'm taking the 6. Give me the money line. I want all the Rams. If they don't, if things, go south, then I'll eat my words on the show. I often am wrong on this show. But I love the Rams, man. I think you're crazy. Eagles, no. The Rams are going to the NFC Championship again.
A passionate defense of the Los Angeles Rams. John,
hit the gong, baby, on that one, and take the hook out and hit the gong. I get fired up when Nate Perry lays the wood. That is all I need to know. Once a year, Nate lays down the hammer and the wood, baby, and I'm going with that. He says, lay the 6, baby. I'm going with the birds. Fly, Eagles, fly. Here's the problem. If you're the Rams, you don't know how good this Philadelphia team is. They're getting better every week. Every week you see them, they're getting better. They're playing better. They're hitting on all cylinders. You got Jalen Hurts back. I mean, you saw the game a week ago. It doesn't matter who they're playing now. They're playing with confidence. They're at home. Yes, I get what Jack's saying. Nick Sirianni has a way to piss off an entire city of brotherly love. I get that. But this team is just too good. They're getting better. And look, a week ago, Nate made me laugh when he said he picked the Rams. And he said, the the Rams are going to do Rams stuff. And like, I knew exactly what that meant, right? Probably others didn't, but I knew exactly what it meant. They're going to do Ram stuff, which is find a way to win these games somehow. But if Nate had picked the Rams, I'd be a little more hesitant. But because he's laying the wood, I'm going with Philadelphia -6. Baby.
Yeah, I like the Eagles.
Whisperer who's been wrong about him all season up until last week. That's me.
I like the Eagles. I mean, when you're at home and you have maybe the best running back in football who already eviscerated the Rams the first time that they played. Now the Rams since then have bounced back and become one of the best run stopping defenses in the league. So I expect them to focus on that, go after Barkley. But man, remember last time when A.J. Brown complained about not getting passes, and then he played like the Steelers the next week and destroyed them. He was reading a book about quotes, subtly, unsubtly saying how upset he is about not getting the ball, basically saying, hey, we're good, but to get to the championship, we have to throw the ball. This is the week that they're going to throw the ball. Stafford's going to score a little bit. It's going to force them to also throw the ball, and that's going to show what the Eagles can do. The Eagles by far are the more talented team. I love the Rams. I'll probably be rooting for the Rams a little bit because I might not put money down because I want the Rams to win, but the Eagles are the play for sure. So I'm running with the Eagles all day because they're going to do passing and running.
I mean, do the Eagles need to pass though? I mean, Saquon ran for 255 yards when they played him in November. The defensive line for LA is 24th in adjusted line yards on running back runs, 28th in yards before contact per attempt. I mean, do they even need to pass it yet?
Yeah, but A.J. Brown is reading inspirational books on the side. You have to give, he can be a problem. I mean, I think that sucks that you have to cater to him, but you have to give him the ball just so he's not whining and, doing yoga on the sidelines.
I mean, yeah, maybe after Saquon gets a couple hundred yards, you can think about airing it out to make AJ happy. Peter, what do you think? Peter. No, Peter is frozen.
All right. Why is he staring at
Peter froze.
Peter froze.
Peter's been dealing with the Wi-Fi all day. Yeah, I think he might be back now.
Looks like he's moving now. All right.
What did I miss?
You back?
Yeah. Eagles are the best team in football. Just going to put that out there. They don't need to throw the ball because that offensive line is getting into the discussion for one of the best ever. And I mean, we saw it with Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, who turned out 1,000-yard seasons and have done nothing in their new landing spots. And you see what happens when you put a running back, a talented running back who can make things happen behind that offensive line, and it's unbelievable. And should the Rams completely sell out to stop the run, then it becomes an A.J. Brown game. But, I mean, you go back to that Week 12 matchup, and the Rams were in, heavy run-stopping looks, and the Eagles were still able to blow them off the ball. And even, when a Ram player penetrated, it's like Saquon's going to make a miss and make something happen. So this is hammering the Eagles all the way here.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like an Eagles game to me. I mean, you win this game at the line of scrimmage, and LA, I just don't think has it. I don't think they have the juice to be able to stop Saquon and the Philly offensive line. All right. Rams. Just get it in. Rams.
Ram it in.
Time.
Rams, baby. Let's go Rams.
Any good prop bet? Yeah.
Mitch, did you have any thoughts on this game? I don't think we got to you here.
Yeah, no, I took the Eagles. Thanks.
Everybody's on the Eagles.
My analysis must have been so memorable, Nate.
So flat.
I didn't even freeze up, and you didn't remember mine. Jesus.
You were talking, and
I brought up the inspirational quotes. Nietzsche.
Oh yeah,
AJ
Brown
Brown.
game. Right. Okay, now it's all coming
Carl
back.
Young. I was going everywhere, man. Dreaming.
So long ago.
Jeez.
All right, last game on the docket, Sunday night. The game we're all waiting for. I mean, I know that Peter thinks the Eagles are the best team in football, but damn, the Ravens and the Bills are pretty good.
He's modest.
Bills are plus 1.5 point underdogs. The line is sort of flipped. They opened at 1.5 point favorites. They're now 1.5 point dogs. Baltimore has gone from underdog to road favorite in this game because everybody thinks that Lamar Jackson is the greatest player in history. and I'd be inclined to agree with him based on his play recently. Does Baltimore keep rolling here? I mean, Buffalo's a flawed team. Defense has not looked excellent. Josh Allen has, but the defense hasn't looked as great. They don't look as balanced to my eye. I'm just going to let Peter sort of lead with the game preview here, and then we can fill in the gaps after that. But Peter, what are you looking for in the Sunday night game? I'm sorry that you have to wait so long to watch this.
No, I'm all right with it because I have bad memories of a Saturday night game against Tennessee a few years ago. But no, I mean this is a tough matchup for the Bills just because of the way that the Ravens can run the ball. And I mean the Bills front, yeah, you got Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, like some good guys, but they're not really a size defense like a team like I mentioned, the Eagles. And so when teams can really run the ball against the Bills, they get into trouble because where the Bills really want to live is, in those too high looks and a lot of zone coverage. And when they're forced, to bring that player down and play a little bit more man, then, that you can expose some of the weaknesses at corner. Benford's a good player. Teron Johnson's a good player. But, you get further after that and you get into some trouble. As far as the offensive side of things, one thing that does concern me or favors the Bills is their use of the running backs in the pass game. Roquan Smith, great player, one of the best run-stopping linebackers in the league, certainly, but he's struggled in space. Trent Simpson has been in and out of the lineup in his second year, hasn't been the total Patrick Queen replacement. And so, some of the quick passes out to the flat, and you force whether it's Roquan or Malik Harrison or some of these bigger old school linebackers to cover, there could be some trouble there. I'm not scared of the Bills receivers. Shakir's a good player. Amari Cooper hasn't totally clicked with them. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is kind of the X factor here. Like if it is a game where, he's really making things happen running the ball, which it typically is in the playoffs in big moments. And part of why he's had, a lot more postseason success than Lamar has is, he's just kind of like unabashedly just turned loose on the ground. And so, yeah, I look at it as, I mean, we saw it was 35-10 in week 4. Even all year, and it is a tough matchup for the Bills. So I think Ravens squeak it out. But this is going to be a big matchup in the context of Lamar's career and Allen's career, like a game we're going to look back on as being kind of the pendulum shift for whichever one it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game.
I'm taking the Rams in this game too. No, Rams, baby.
Rams beat either of these teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. Rams money line in the Ravens game. What's the over? 150? I'll probably take that. I think that's probably the best play.
51.5.
Yeah, whatever the hell the over is probably where I want to go with this. Both these teams just score like crazy, and I know the Ravens have a good defense, but I think Peter is right in that this is going to. I think this is going to be like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson classic, right? These are two quarterbacks and two teams that cannot get past the Chiefs. And the Bills especially, right? And I think both of that is on their mind. I think this is one of those legacy, like, defining games. And I think whichever team comes out on top has a real shot to beat a Chiefs team that I know they're the Chiefs and they're tough, but both these teams are really good. And I like the Ravens here. I just think they looked really good last week. And I kind of think this is like Lamar's year to just kind of to define his legacy and maybe finally get to the Super Bowl. So I'll take the Ravens. I'm not scared of the Bills, but if I'm like just betting, over is kind of what I love. I think both these. I mean, the Bills can score 50 points while you're in the bathroom. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not scared of that over.
Yeah, and I mean, you're looking at two guys that for the last 2 months of the season were like, 1, 2, and then everybody else in terms of MVP race, right? Like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were the clear MVP favorites for basically the entire second half of the season. And, I mean, I just look at it and I just think like, okay, so those are the 2 MVPs. Which ones do I like better and who has better supporting pieces? And I look at Baltimore and I just think like, I'd rather have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson than Josh Allen and just a bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how like it, on some level, like the simple handicap is just, I think I'd rather have those 2 guys in a backfield than anybody else in football.
Well, look, this segment, this final segment here is brought to you by Collagen and Native Path. And if you're going to watch this game on a Sunday night, you better be feeling good about it, because it's really going to be, it should be the best game on the card, no doubt about it. It's the game that everybody's waiting for. It's on Sunday night, but you want to feel good. You need collagen. It is the most important protein that your body, as you get older, loses. Dr. Chad Walding has taught us this. He has figured this out. And those of you seeing me on video, I've lost 40 pounds, went from 285 to 245. I never thought I would be here. And I think I'm going to lose another 25 in 2025. That's my goal. But I could not do it without my collagen, because I feel better. I look better. It is a key protein that your body absolutely needs. This is another thing that is $21. You get one of the collagens, it's $21, and it's going to last you about 2.5 weeks. So you're talking about $35 a month to feel better. I mean, who wouldn't do that? It's immediate. It's 2 weeks. You're going to feel better. All you got to do, folks, and do it now, because I could save you up to 50%. Just go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla, getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get your collagen today. Do it to take you 5 minutes. Get your collagen today. They're going to ship it right to you. You put 2 scoops a day in your coffee or your tea or your orange juice, like Nate said, or a smoothie, whatever it is you do. Just put 2 scoops in every day. As soon as you get up, 2 weeks, you're going to really feel better, like I have. My whole family takes it. I don't promote anything. Jack takes it. Nate takes it. Everybody on Godzilla Wins takes it. We don't promote anything here that we don't believe in. This thing is the greatest thing since that. The supplements that I take I'm going to be 67 are what helped me drive along. Now, having said that, getnativepath.com/Godzilla. You're good to go. I'm betting the Bills, and I'm doing it for one reason. This is Josh Allen's time. This is his time. He has got to win this game. He cannot keep getting eliminated in the playoffs. You saw how inspired ball he played last week. They blew Denver out. They're at home. The Bills Mafia. It's going to snow. It's going to be freezing. You got to go with Josh Allen here. And look, obviously, I'm a big Derrick Henry fan. I loved him when he was on the Titans, a big fan of his. Lamar Jackson, he seems unstoppable right now. And the Bills defense, as Nate said, is suspect, and they're not very big. So that's why there's been a 3-point swing on this game. But I'm going to take Josh Allen at home with the Bills Mafia. This is his time. He's got to win this game, and we'll see what happens.
Dad, there's got to be a part of you that's rooting for Derrick Henry to get a Super Bowl ring, right? I mean,
yes,
like he's like Titans
100%.
royalty.
He is
Yes.
Titan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he certainly deserves it. I mean, he basically carried our team for 3 seasons. He just carried them on his back. Plus, he's a great guy. I mean, he's just a great man in every respect. He gives back to the community. He pays it forward. He's everything. If you have a son, is everything you want your son to be or your teammate to be. But I'm very blessed because I got 2 sons that I just couldn't.
You also,
be happier.
I know we got to Mitch's pick, but you also weigh as much. As
No one's going to remember it anyway. You're just going to.
No, Mitch, you get the last word.
Hold on. So I love storylines, and this one has all the storylines, every classic storyline. Whether it was Aikman and Young in the '90s, whether it's Manning and Brady. But there's also intense. I know we talked about Tomlin, but Harbaugh's got some pressure too. He's got the best quarterback in the world. He's 4-6 in the playoffs in the last 10 games. He's been abysmal, in the playoffs with a great team. And Monken might be the difference maker. So there's a ton of pressure. I already made my bet. I'm gonna have to line, and I said it's the Ravens' time earlier. So I think the Ravens win this game. I'm saying almost the same reason as Josh Allen. It's their time. If the Ravens don't, there is a lot of off-season just chatter. They're not going to do much because they have a great team, but you go 4-7, you disappoint again. You have one of the better teams out here. So all the pressure on both of these teams just makes it an historic game potentially. But I do think the Ravens take it just because of the man you talked about, and he likes to wear a big fat Jesus piece too, Derrick Henry. So like he likes running all over people. The Ravens rushed for 300 yards last week. I think they go to the same game plan. If they stuff the run, then you got Lamar running everywhere and throwing all over the field. Interesting. Is Zay Flowers playing? Peter, do you know? Does anyone know yet?
Trend as of most recently, I saw trending towards not.
Yeah. So I'm going Ravens. Just because coin flip.
All right, a lot of Ravens love here. John, the lone dissenter, I think. So all right, I mean, I guess we have like 1 minute here, and I think this is like the fun radio thing that we can do really quickly. We can just say Super Bowl prediction and winner. Eagles, Ravens win. Jack.
Rams, Chiefs. Rams win, baby.
John, what do you think for the Super Bowl prediction?
Eagles, Buffalo, Eagles win.
Peter? Peter's out. Mitch?
All right. It's going to be the Lions and the Ravens. I'm not giving my pick yet. Kendrick Lamar wins the halftime show, but I'll give my pick next week.
Okay. All right. Peter, you got a Super Bowl prediction for us before we're off the air?
Ravens, Eagles win.
He's just doing that. He's just doing
it.
He's trying to. It's psychoanalysis. He's
that's a little.
He did say to his defense, he did say the Eagles were the best team in football. Like
we know what he's doing here.
That was a classic psyop, right? There. That was a psyop.
That's deep. All right.
That's psyop.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good luck on your bets this week. You're up next with Jay Delsing. Golf with Jay Delsing. See you guys next week.